How's your Betty Bottler page going? Sounds like
Good. I,
you've got your
I just
podcast in.
finished the podcast part of it and added that to it this morning, so the page is good to go now.
I'll send it over. I'll have a listen.
Okay.
Lorraine, I've got the marketing call, and I've got to cook, and then I've got to take Lorraine out.
Yeah. It'd be nice, I think, still if we could find a way to get it added to PLS as well, so there's both a male version and a female version.
Well, ours isn't added to PLS. Ours is just a share code.
It's separate. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah, you
I'll
can
have to
just.
figure out how to do that because this is in WordPress.
No. Well, yeah. If you can view page source, if you right click view page source, you get all the HTML. Then you
Hmm.
create. This is what I did. So I did mine in HBA. Right click. Well, maybe we should talk about this more on the marketing call, but
Yeah, we should. We'll talk about it later. Yeah.
just quickly, right click, view page source, copy and paste that into a blank PDF page. That's what I did. And then I had to take out a couple of spaces that were a bit rogue and stuff like that, but
Okay.
that was it. Right, ladies and gentlemen of the tubes, or whatever the phrase is, I am just going to add this in, and we're going to talk about blame because you're all you've all wronged me, and I hang on to the anger and the resentment, and it's no good. So you're all in for it. I thought it would make a good topic. In America, do you know who John Cleese is?
I'll
You
speak
know
for
what?
Canada and say yes, very much so.
Yes.
Yes, cool. Just checking. John Cleese, you know who he is, Tommy? Monty Python.
Eric
Oh,
Idle. Yeah.
I know I've seen Monty Python a time or two, but I don't keep up with them. I know a couple guys that do, and I like the one about it's only a flesh wound, but
Oh yeah. Mm. We're watching a comedy at the minute called Green Wing. It's a few years old, but it's incredibly funny. And like this guy's just been in a coma for 3 weeks, and he comes round, and the doctor says, "Tell him to get some rest." Right, what's the date today? The
I'm
10th.
actually subscribed to the Monty Python Facebook group, so it's fun to see little skits come back every once in a while, or snippets from them and things.
Is it English beer is like making love in a canoe? I won't swear, but it's effing close to water. Right, okay. I've got the document open. I may refer to the document, but I'll drop a document in at the end because it's time to talk. So we're going to start off with a video, maybe. So blame. You can insert other things, but blame is one that comes up a lot because we see it happen a lot in politics, and quite often, in the US elections and all that, I talk about how you noticed that people get so passionate and worked up about what Biden's doing, what Harris is doing, what Trump's doing, and all that. Meanwhile, they're broke and they're more focused on that than they are doing their own business. And I was reminded of a quote that I love from John Cleese. So I'll play that first, and then we can go a bit more detail or whatever. So I'll share the screen even to make it easier for you to see it as well. How about that? More share screen. But it's not a very good image because it's probably been recorded off TV and then videotape and stuff. But you can hear him, okay? I hope. Let me know if you can't hear him.
Seriously, though, we've heard a lot about extremism recently, a nastier, harsher atmosphere everywhere, more abuse and bother boy behavior, less friendliness and tolerance and respect for opponents. All right, but what we never hear about extremism is its advantages. Well, the biggest advantage of extremism is that it makes you feel good because it provides you with enemies. Let me explain. The great thing about having enemies is that you can pretend that all the badness in the whole world is in your enemies and all the goodness in the whole world is in you. Attractive, isn't it? So, if you have a lot of anger and resentment in you anyway, and you therefore enjoy abusing people, then you can pretend that you're only doing it because these enemies of yours are such very bad persons. and that if it wasn't for them, you'd actually be good-natured and courteous and rational all the time. So, if you want to feel good, become an extremist. Okay, now you have a choice. If you join the hard left, they'll give you their list of authorized enemies. Almost all kinds of authority, especially the police, the city, Americans, judges, multinational corporations, public schools, furriers, newspaper owners, fox hunters, generals, class traitors, and, of course, moderates. Or, if you'd rather be an extremist on the hard right, no problem, fine, you still get a lovely list of enemies, only they're different ones. Noisy minority groups, unions, Russia, weirdos, demonstrators, welfare sponges, meddlesome clergy, peaceniks, the BBC, strikers, social workers, communists, and, of course, moderates. And upstart actors. Now, once you're armed with one of these super lists of enemies, you can be as nasty as you like and yet feel your behaviors morally justified. So you can strut around abusing people and telling them you could eat them for breakfast and still think of yourself as a champion of the truth, a fighter for the greater good, and not the rather sad paranoid schizoid that you really are. And all this explains what we've seen at party conferences. Everyone's sitting there looking grim and bored, and then a speaker gets up with real fire in his belly as well as dyspepsia, and he says, the other party really are the most awful bunch of rotters, the most left-wing or right-wing bunch there's ever been in this great country of ours, and it would be a disaster if they ever got into power, or held on to power, so we must get into power, or hold on to power, but there's going to be a tremendous fight, a terrific struggle, and we can't relax and enjoy ourselves. No, we must struggle and fight and fight, and struggle and struggle and struggle, and fight against these enemies, and then struggle a little bit more at the end of that.
What do you think? True?
Yeah, it rings fairly true.
We'd all be all right, wouldn't it, if it wasn't for Kamala Harris doing what she does and Trump doing what he did, and we'd be all right. We could be fine, normal, happy people, getting on, building our businesses. But then what we do, if we can't agree, I'm not very political, and I find myself getting drawn in sometimes, and I try and pull back because Philip always used to say, I'm keeping Philip's messages alive, does it change the price of fish in Sainsbury's? Is what he used to say. Does it change the price of fish in the supermarket? And his point was really, I call it staying out the drama. You've got goals for your life. My goal, right, isn't for Trump to do something or for Biden to have done something. Or, my goals are for my life, how I want to live. Now, that may be easier if I get a nice tax break. That might be easier if the hospitals ran better in the UK and I was ill, God forbid, and I needed a hospital. But do you know what? That's out of my control, isn't it? If I'm worried about my health, I could take better care of myself, for one. Number two, I could get private healthcare. But, what happens if people say, I can't afford private healthcare? Well, why not? What are you going to blame then? So this was inspired, by the way, from this book, Letting Go. It's pretty good. David Hawkins. I'm still reading it, but some of you know Darren Little. He taught me surrender, right? And it's basically just give in. Whatever you feel, just give in, right? Because then you're not influenced by stuff, right? And he's kind of similar lines. So if you've got something to blame, somebody, something, or yourself, well, I could have been successful at my business, Paul, but it's too expensive to join that. Nobody will join that. I've got to wait until Trump does this. Can't expect me to get in until that happens. But he's being blocked. It's terrible. It's fake news, and this needs to happen. I see it all the time, like in politics. Same in the UK. It's like housing and all that. We've got 20 or 30 new homes being built up just up the road from us, and it's coming. And people in Bude are talking about what a travesty. What a travesty. What a travesty that we're going to build homes for people to be able to afford them in Cornwall, which is a very expensive part of the world because everybody has holiday homes down here. Isn't that shocking? Isn't it terrible?
Add about 3 zeros to that, Paul, and that's how many homes we're getting built here.
We haven't got enough infrastructure there. Well, I suppose you're nearer London.
We're between 12 and 20,000 homes.
And I bet everyone's loving it, aren't they? But so I always say you'll remember what was his name? Astrica Cornelius, yeah? You'll remember him. Roman centurion helped invade Britain. You'll remember him, don't you? It's not going to matter in a few years. Don't worry about it. We're all going to be dead, right? So all of us, I plan on living forever, and so far so good, but we'll see. So the point that he makes, and he's talking about blame, but you can insert other things in here, but blame comes up a lot where people blame things for me and like, why people can't do things, right? So blame, it fuels anger, resentment, guilt, and shame. Drains your energy, keeps you from moving forward because you've got that enemy. Like John Cleese said, you've got an enemy. So that fires you up because you've got an enemy. The problem that I think, personally, is that fire and all that sort of enthusiasm goes into things that could be helping you get where you want to be, rather than being angry shouting at the TV or people on Facebook. Did you know you can see somebody's opinion on Facebook that you don't agree with? And did you know you could just scroll past it? A lot of people don't realize that. You don't have to get involved and keep a conversation going and get into a tit for tat argument on Facebook that's not really helping anybody, is it? Also, from an NLP point of view, the language that you use, it keeps you stuck. When you say it's their fault, right? You're basically saying you're a victim of other people's behaviors or actions or outside circumstances, right? That's basically what you're saying when you're doing that. So it's like when you say to your children, be a good boy. We're going to your grand's, be a good boy. What does that imply? You have to be good when you go there. So if you have to be good when you go and do that, what does that imply the rest of the time? That you're bad. Don't do nice things to our kids, do we? Be good. You have to be good when you go there. Be good. Uh-oh, I'm bad. I need to change my behavior to be good when I go there. And we've talked about this before. Don't think of a blue elephant with wings flying over the Eiffel Tower in France in the moonlight. What do we say to our kids? Don't spill your milk. How do they make sense of that sentence? Spill milk. Oh, right, okay. You get what you focus on. So you set your kids up to do the very thing you don't want them to do. And then you get cross with them. I told you not to spill your milk. And you blame them. They should be blaming you. It's your fault. Terrible parents. We all are. I did it as well. Right? Except I never gave Glenn milk. You just had to have water. And dry bread. So don't have enough time, don't have enough money, the economy, the weather, my upbringing, okay, my education. I'm no good with computers. I get that a lot. I'm no good with computers. How are you sending me this message? Facebook. Oh, okay. We worked out how to create a Facebook account, and you can log in and you can send messages on Facebook, but you're no good with computers and you can't copy and paste a URL or upload a YouTube video. No, I'm no good with computers. I just told you. Oh, okay. Right. What NLP is good at is one aspect to deal with these things is ask different questions. So I've said this before to people, is like I had one guy, right? He was like really hard up. He wanted to join IM Academy back then. And or was it HBA? But he said, anyway, I can't afford it. And I said, well, okay, you're kind of setting yourself up. And he goes, what do you mean? So why don't you ask yourself, how could you afford it? Rather than just make a statement, you can't afford it. Because when you make that statement, you've got nowhere to go. I can't afford it. You got nowhere to go. Why don't you ask, how could I afford it? Anyway, 2 weeks later, he joined. And I think I've got his testimonial still somewhere. And it was that. I got to thinking, how could I do it? And he got some money coming that he wasn't expecting, but it was only because he was open to looking. So asking better questions is one way. His way, and I quite like this as well. So when you want to blame somebody, you're often angry because you feel like you're cheated. Or it gives you that excuse to procrastinate, not do anything, because you would be happy, healthy, wise, successful if it wasn't for them. It's their fault that I'm not I've not put a video on YouTube for a week. It's not my fault. How could I? With all the riots going on in LA, you expect me to put a YouTube video up and improve my life? How dare you? Right? So what he says is sit with it, but don't judge it. So something's going on that makes you angry, be angry, but don't judge it. Don't be like, oh, it's because of them, it's because of that. Just be angry. And if you do that, you'll notice it subsides. Because you can't stay perpetually angry 24 hours a day, right? Or shamed or guilty or whatever. So he says you can kind of let it go after a short while. Let me find the bit. Because I like NLP, so I'm like, oh, you know that feeling? What do we talk about? You can spin it, you can pull it out your body, you can shrink it, you can spin it the opposite way. You can say, if it was like something I could pick up and put on my desk, what would it be? A rock. Just keep looking at the rock. It's not changing. I know, but just keep looking at the rock and notice the changes. It's not changing. I know, but just keep looking and notice the changes. And then eventually it starts to change and it gets rid of it. Okay. So better question. Well, one, sit with it, but don't judge it and just let it dissipate. And then the questions, start asking yourself, well, what could I do differently? Does it really affect me? What could I do better? How can I learn from it? How can I respond? And he talks about cause and effect. So I like to put it like, are you the thermometer? So what does the thermometer do?
Measures temperature.
Yeah, it tells you how hot or cold your room is, right? Or outside or whatever, right? Well, let's talk rooms. What does the thermostat do?
What do?
What does the thermostat do?
Oh, a
Regulate
thermostat.
temperature
It sets the temperature.
And how does it do it?
by adjusting.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if I set my thermostat to 20 degrees, what happens then? What actually happens? What does the thermostat do?
It
If you
measures
set
the
it to
temperature, and then it makes the furnace turn on or off as needed.
But when?
At
When
all
it's
times.
20 degrees.
When the temperature varies from the 20 degrees.
But not at 20 degrees. It actually will kick in
No, it has to go down
around
to 19.
and that's what's called your comfort zone. So it waits for things to stray far enough away from where you want to be. It's not, I guess modern ones might be better, but I learned this, that apparently it doesn't happen at 20 degrees. It can happen within a degree of a side because it knows it takes time to warm up. Okay. So it can happen either way, but fundamentally, let's say 20 degrees. That was just me showing off my plumbing knowledge. But let's just say 20 degrees. It takes action when you get out your comfort zone. It takes action when it's out of the comfort zone. It doesn't have a display. Ours has got a display on it. It doesn't go, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. And it doesn't go, it's too hot, it's too hot, it's too hot. And it doesn't go, it's too hot because the sun's out today and it's really strong. And you didn't put that blind up yet, Paul, like Lorraine asked you to. And it doesn't go, it's too cold, it's too cold, it's too cold. Because it's winter, how do I stand a chance? Because it's winter and you haven't put the draft excluder on the door yet. I keep saying to Lorraine, you ask me to do something, I will definitely do it. There's no need to remind me every 6 months. I'll definitely get to it. So yeah, so it takes action. So do you want to be, something happens, you can blame somebody, you put all your energy into that, or would you rather be the thermostat? And that's your challenge for this week, is to look at things that piss you off and annoy you and things you haven't got done. Stop blaming yourself because you're human. It happens. Stop blaming other people. Stop blaming external circumstances. Ask yourself better questions. What can I learn from it? What could I do better that serves me? Do I want to stay all this? You know, Philip used to, whenever I used to get really stressed incredibly stressed, right? Clients hated clients and all that. So I'm talking from experience, and he just opened his shirt. Do you want one of these? And he's got the heart triple bypass scar. Do you want one of these, Paul? You fill in your body with stress chemicals, cortisol and all that. And it decays your veins and does things to your blood pressure, which doesn't do your heart any good. Do you want one of these? Do you want one of these? Or just want to let it go? Does it change the price of fish in Sainsbury's? And you know what? Even if it does change the price of fish in the supermarkets, if I want to eat fish and it's more expensive, all I need to do is decide if it's worth, if it to me, the value is still buying the fish and spend more money on it, right? And then the other thing I can do is make more money, especially with AI now and everything. We've got more, this is the best time to have an online business ever, surely. I mean, it's going to get better. Maybe in a couple of years, it will just be, yeah, I feel like promoting this. Go away, go away and do it for me. You know, and you leave your laptop running overnight, and you come back tomorrow, and you're waking up to a funnel and marketing and all that. It will get there, but that's not an excuse, is it? So, main challenge this week, I would say, is be the thermostat, not the thermometer. Notice when you get your comfort zones right. Practical steps. Where am I blaming others, myself, or circumstances? What would it like? Oh, this is another good question. What would it feel like to just let it all go? And it could be when you're stressed trying to get a website or a video or something, and you start getting angry. What would it be like if I just let that go and didn't give my power to this or them or it or the weather or stupid Zoom not working today? I had to restart it twice. Or ChatGPT's down apparently. I haven't been on today, but I don't know if it's back up yet. But you know,
Yeah, it's back up again.
I had all this work to do and ChatGPT's down, stupid thing. And you feel like, who's ever felt like throwing a laptop out the window? I think if you haven't, you're lying, right? Because if you work online, right, we've all had times we feel like throwing a laptop out. But what about if we actually just went, do you know what? What would it feel like if I just let that go and I was in control of myself rather than a laptop or an internet thing having control over me? Would I feel better having that power? Or am I happy being a victim to external circumstances? Let me think about that for a minute. Okay. The NLP communication model. The NLP communication model is, remember, it's that bit about we take things in through our senses, and then our brain filters everything based on, have we ever done anything like this before? Have we ever done anything like this before? Is it good for us? Is it bad for us? And it doesn't matter if you have a really bad thing happen and then you have something remotely similar that's not really that bad, but your brain kicks off. So the more you hold on to blame, guess what? As opportunities come and present themselves, as you're building your business, as you're doing whatever, this NLP communication model, these filters are running all the time. If you spend a lot of your time in victimhood because you're blaming external circumstances or things, you're actually setting yourself up for failure, aren't you? If you think about it, which is another good reason to let it go. Humans, as far as we know, are the only species that hang on to bad memories and bad thoughts. Now, that's not to say if you abuse an animal, hit it with a stick, and then you get a stick in the future, it'll pull away. That's instinct, right? But mentally, humans are the only ones that keep thinking about that bad thing that happened to us and how it's their fault. And I always use the example of, if I didn't like this picture and I sat here now going, I really hate that picture, you'd all tell me to take it down or change it, wouldn't you? But in our heads, we just go, oh, I remember this happened to me like 20 years ago. Oh, still affects, right? So we don't want that to happen. If you have a bad thing, NLP timeline therapy can help with that. And that was it, really. It was a couple of key things I wanted to say. I have got like a worksheet. So has anybody got any questions on blame? And I'll put this worksheet in with the chat. In fact, I'll give you my notes so you've got the exact thing. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Because I want you all to go and succeed. Sorry, you're going to say something?
No, I just said yes, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Because I'm like in build mode at the minute, I'm getting a lot of this stuff come up. You know, I can't because this, because them, they left, they didn't do this, they said they'd do that and they didn't. And so at the minute, HBA, I want 100 people. Gifu, I want 500 people. I'm assuming I'm recruiting 500 people. It's my assumption to get to where I want to be. First step, right? So I'm assuming I'm doing it because I can't rely on anybody else. Now, that said, I can break it down. There are 16 times 16. If I can find 16 people who can go and get 16 people, I've already done about 30, 34. So it's possible. So if I can find 16 people who can get 16 people, guess what? 256, that's 5K a month. If I do that on the left side and then I find another 16 on the right side, that's where I want to be. It's first, and then 15, then 25, right? So I'm not saying I'm not going to do that, but my assumption is I'm going to get all 500 people myself. I'm going to try and make it easy for other people to refer. We're going to talk about Opus Clip and, you know, some marketing things on the marketing call in half an hour, right? So I'm going to do that's one way I can influence. Remember CIA, control, influence, accept. You know, can't control you all. I can influence you, and if you don't do anything in whatever business, fine. You know, I just have to accept it rather than blame. Okay, but I see people working. The sales will come. Tommy, in particular, you did a great video today. Well, you've done some fantastic videos with the AI. That one today as well is really good. And I'm refining what I'm doing to make a system, a referral system with stuff, and it just takes time because I'm assuming I'm the only one putting it together and I'm the only one doing it. And if somebody else did it, it probably wouldn't be the way I do it anyway. So, so I don't do it. Might as well just do it myself anyway. But I would encourage you to do your own systems as well, you know, and stuff that works for you because it's come from you. You're going to be into it more than I ever will be. Well, you never know, but chances are, if you create it yourself, it's going to be perfect for you, isn't it? That's my theory. Right. So, what else to say? Don't think there's anything else. So, any last questions? If not, I'll drop these notes in then into the classroom. It's in there already. And if you're coming on at 5, I'll see you at 5.
I watched your video from your recording from last week, Paul.
I did several. Which one?
Oh, no, sorry, the one of this session last week. And you were talking about possibly doing something on the vagus nerve. I was just going to say I would be interested in that.
Yeah. This came up over the weekend, so I did this, but yeah, vagus nerve. Next week, we're going to do vagus nerve.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, rest. What was it? Rest and digest. So that's what we're going to do. Vagus nerve next week. I'm going to make a note of it now. All right then, guys. Good for your health. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
People.
Same time.
Bye.